Hey guys, what's up? Yeah, that's not a live stream or anything. This is just, I wanted to do this real quickly on my computer's camera, and I'll probably be converting this to 1080 or 4K, depending on how I feel. But I did not watch Smackdown tonight. I am going to say that. I didn't watch Smackdown tonight. But what I read on social media and on Twitter afterwards what really blew me away. Now, I had been checking online throughout the day, courtesy of my phone here. I've been checking online all day via YouTube, and apparently, according to Pro Wrestling Unlimited, PWU here on YouTube, Pro Wrestling Unlimited, in some of the reports were giving, apparently the superstars that went over to Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel yesterday, the flight was delayed. And basically, because of this, WWE had to scramble to come up with a solution for SmackDown tonight. And for something that was apparently booked on the fly, booked at the last minute, and basically for some of the matches that came out of this, I should say, that were booked, that were called in the ring by the participants, um, a lot of people have said that this probably was, if not, is indeed the best episode of SmackDown this year and so far in a long time. The reason being is because NXT invaded SmackDown tonight. Reports are that the NXT stars didn't show up until about 7:55 p.m., 5 minutes before the show officially went on the air. They had to be brought in by police escort, in other words, I guess hidden from view. And this would explain why Shayna Baszler showed up in the third segment after the Bailey match, or after the match Bailey had, and won, and attacked both Bailey and Sasha. Now, just looking at some of these segments through what people have said from Deluxe Man to several others, and what social media has said, it sounds like just for something that may have been in the works but not planned to be executed so soon. It looks like the NXT superstars, the men and the women, are sending a message of, hey, we're the real superstars. We're the real pro wrestlers, not you. Not The Miz, not Fire and Desire, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, not Daniel Bryan, not this person or that person. NXT is the real deal. And a lot of people have said that, reported, I should say, that Triple H in this Wednesday Night War situation with All Elite Wrestling's Dynamite is going to do whatever it takes to prove that no matter what the brand is, nobody, no matter if you're All Elite Wrestling, Major League Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, NWA, doesn't matter who you are, that nobody can compete with WWE. Nobody can compete with World Wrestling Entertainment, no matter what brand is representing the WWE. So for them to suddenly, I guess, launch this story angle that they were probably going to launch a little afterwards, like maybe this Monday at the latest, not tonight, um, definitely shows you that Triple H is playing no favorites. He is taking no prisoners, because it does open up the potential of Raw and SmackDown stars showing up on NXT. Whether they're NXT alumni showing up to have matches unexpectedly on the fly with NXT talent, who knows? But tonight was basically a statement made. It wasn't just a statement of in story, the story being the trigger on the story being pulled a lot sooner than I think they expected. Not only was it a state. statement made by the NXT brand. Just checking something there. By the NXT brand to Raw and SmackDown, like, the statement being, "Hey, you guys think you're better than us just because you're the main shows, you're the A shows? Uh, Guess again." Now I know from a storyline perspective, if they involve Vince McMahon or Shane, one of them will come out and say the only reason NXT dominated is because most of the talent was overseas, and if that talent was here, NXT wouldn't have dared shown up or even done what they did. So don't be surprised if Vince or Shane, depending on who it is, comes out on Monday and addresses that and even says something similar to that. But despite the fact that this probably really helped show that SmackDown could be the show that Fox wants, Fox needs, Fox paid billions of dollars for the next 5 years. If this is an example of what they are capable of doing, then there's a lot of fans that are going to hope that they keep this unpredictability going, especially as we build towards Survivor Series and what looks like it's going to be maybe a triple threat Survivor Series match. Hear me out. Now, going back about 21 years ago, WCW had a War Games match where it was Team WCW versus Team Wolfpack versus Team NWO Hollywood. And I mentioned this in a video I did earlier this morning, and it's premiering currently as we speak. And it's about 11:47. It premiered about 17 minutes ago. 11:47 p.m. That is. But anyway, in during that War Games match back in 1998, it was WCW versus NWO Wolfpack versus NWO Hollywood, with people representing that team, but there was a stipulation that even though it was WCW versus NWO in general, both factions of NWO, that it was every man for themselves. And I kind of brought up the scenario that we could get that with the women's War Games match, you know, the day before Survivor Series. Check my video out where I talk about that. Um, but but here, I don't think we're going to get that. I think what we will get though is an homage to that War Games like style, to possibly what's going to be a triple threat three-way dance Survivor Series elimination match where you're going to have Raw in one corner, you're going to have Raw, on another corner you're going to have SmackDown, and in another corner you're going to have NXT. And that would be great. That would be probably the best way to go, because you could start the match out and continue the match in a triple threat three-way dance style, to see who is the better brand. Is it Raw? Is it SmackDown? Or is it NXT? And hopefully that might be the direction they go. It's creative. It's a first for Survivor Series, if you will. And, it allows all three brands with their talent to show what they can, show what they're capable of. Who's the more, I guess you could say, the more dominant of the trio of the three brands in WWE. Now, what probably will most likely happen, though, knowing how this company works, is they'll take the best of Raw, team them up with the best of SmackDown to go against the best of NXT. And that's probably what it's going to be. You're going to have probably, I would say, 10 of, I would say this. I would say you'd either have um, three of the best SmackDown representatives, or three SmackDown representatives teaming up with three Raw representatives to go up against six NXT representatives. That possibly could be what happens. But more than likely, I'm hoping this is going to be a night of three-way dance triple threat matches. Because on one hand, This would explain why the this would explain why you're having war games, two war games matches for Takeover instead of giving us some championship matches instead. So that would explain it because then the next night, if they go the three-way dance triple threat route, which I think and assume they would, you could have Becky Lynch versus Bayley versus Shayna Baszler. You could have Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles versus Roderick Strong. You could have the Undisputed Era, O'Reilly and Fish versus the Viking Raiders versus the Revival. And then in a champion versus champion, in a major champion versus champion thing, you would have Lesnar versus The Fiend versus Adam Cole, which would make sense. Which honestly would make some sense because that's usually the traditional way they go. And then you could cap it off, like I say, with a three team Survivor Series matchup, elimination matchup. Now, again, if they go that route, they go that direction, then yeah, you're going to get people hyped up to watch Survivor Series. You're going to get people to tune into Raw, tune into SmackDown, and most specifically on Wednesday nights, tune into to NXT to see what happens next. Now, with that said, though, there was a super chat that I gave Alex Delexman at the very start of his podcast tonight, his live stream, if you will, his SmackDown review. And that second super chat I gave him was, I have a bad feeling for NXT at Survivor Series because you cannot tell me for one moment, you cannot tell me that Vince didn't sign off on this, depending on when it was going to happen, without getting something in return. Because that's exactly what's going to be the result. You think NXT is going to look strong going into Survivor Series, and they probably will, and they should. But don't be surprised that when we get to Survivor Series, they might throw NXT a bone here and there, but the most important matches are going to go to the main roster. Like, for example, do not be surprised with if they go the WWE Champion versus Universal Champ versus NXT Champ. Don't be surprised if that either goes in the favor of The Fiend or Brock Lesnar and not Adam Cole. The same with the women's match. Don't be surprised if it goes either in the favor of Bayley or Becky Lynch and not Shayna Baszler. Then, more than likely, then you look at the elimination the Survivor Series elimination deal, whether they go traditional or they go three-team Survivor Series elimination. Don't be surprised that if they don't throw that bone to NXT, to say, okay, look, we took these matches from you, so we'll give you the Survivor Series elimination match, along with maybe the tag match or the secondary champions match or mid card champions match. Don't be surprised though that the only matches that NXT might win would be the mid card title ones, which would be Intercontinental, U.S., and North American, and maybe even the tag titles. The tag championship three ways, which would be Raw, SmackDown, and NXT tag titles. Don't be surprised if those are the only matches NXT might win, because if you know Vince McMahon, and I'm not trying to say this will happen, I'm hoping it doesn't, because if Triple H and Vince McMahon really want to win this war against AEW on Wednesday nights, they got to put over NXT in a big way at Survivor Series as one of the traditional old school Big Four pay-per-views. One of them that's been around for what 32 years now. What's going on? It's 32nd year. But 32nd, 33, 32nd, 33rd year, if you will. But don't be surprised, though, if the main roster, Raw, SmackDown, wins the night 3-2 over NXT. In that third decision being the elimination match. Don't be surprised by that. Because Vince may throw him a bone with those matches, but when it comes to the most important matches, that ain't going to happen. Even if the decision is the right decision to help put NXT over as a superior, as an important brand, putting them over as a brand that people overall in wrestling should pay attention to, even if they're part of it, even if they're part of WWE. So that right there, as I was trying to tell Alex, that's my fear. Again, I'm hoping my fear is wrong. I really do. But knowing how Vince McMahon thinks sometimes, just when you think he's going to go the right way, he goes the exact opposite. And it only takes fans' backlash to say, yeah, you screwed up. We're going to get on you. We're going to blast our frustration and anger all across social media for everybody, outlets, news outlets, sporting outlets to pick up on until you make the right call, which is why they had Bray Wyatt go over Seth at Crown Jewel. So, in my opinion, though, guys, again, I think they're going to give them I think they're going to give NXT some victories at Survivor Series. I believe maybe the way it's being set up, they're going to go a three-way dance triple threat like route with most of these matches, and especially the Elimination Survivor Series match. But what I fear is going to happen is the main roster brands, Raw and SmackDown, I should say, they're going to win the night. They're going to win the night. They're going to win the important matches, which would be the women's champion versus champion match and the men's champion versus champion match, as well as the Survivor Series three-way triple threat tag team match. Elimination, that is. That's what I fear is going to happen. Because if you think Vince McMahon, even though, like I said, it would be the right call to make, is going to put over, in his mind, what is still a developmental brand over his main roster, that ain't going to happen. Again, he'll throw him a bone maybe with the tag titles and the mid card title matches, or champion versus champion matches. But when it comes to when it comes to Raw Women's Champion versus NXT Women's Champion versus SmackDown Women's Champion, and WWE Champion versus Universal Champ versus NXT Champ, and the Triple Threat Tag Team Survivor Series Elimination match possibly, that's an entirely different story. He's not about to let his main roster brands, be embarrassed and defeated on the biggest stage, on the probably the final biggest stage of the year for the WWE before we go into 2020. So overall, though, yeah, I thought it was good that they put over NXT in a big way. Again, like I said, it shows that Triple H is playing no favorites. He's taking no prisoners. But in the end, I fear for NXT come Survivor Series. So that's just my opinion, guys. I just hope I'm wrong about that theory and feeling that I have. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on NXT invading SmackDown tonight? Probably the trigger on this invasion storyline being pulled a lot sooner than expected. And how do you feel about NXT coming Survivor Series? Do you think they're going to sweep the night? Or do you think that I'm right in my predictions that they might get a few matches thrown their way, the more, I guess you could say, in Vince's mind, less significant champions versus champions matches compared to the more important ones? Let me know down below what your thoughts are. Comment if you like. Thank you all for watching, and I will talk to you all later.